The new Warframe event Blood of Perita just started, and trust me, if you need Arcanes, then you don't want to miss this. So, in this quick video, I'm gonna give you a full overview of the event, how to farm it most efficiently, and of course, all the rewards that you can get with some personal recommendations. Big shout out to all our generous channel members, and now, let's jump right into it. First of all though, let's quickly talk about the basics. The Blood of Perita event started yesterday, December 16th, and it will run around about 3 more weeks until January the 6th, ending at exactly 11:30 AM Eastern Time. In order to be able to play it, you will have to have the old peace quest finished, and then you will get a message in your inbox from Roth, which basically serves as introduction to the event. That's really all there is to it. But now, how exactly does this event look like, and what do you have to do? See, this event kinda consists of 2 different pillars. One of them is the new game mode Perita Rebellion, and then the other one are certain alert missions that will pop up on your star chart. The goal here is to farm an event-specific resource called Marks of Valiance, with which you can then go to Roth in the Albrecht's Cathedral in the Sanctum Anatomica and exchange those Marks of Valiance for the event rewards. In order to farm these Marks of Valiance, you can do 2 things. On the one hand, you can get them just by playing the Perita Rebellion game mode from the Dark Refractory screen here, and for each completed run, you will get 8 to 15 in normal and 10 to 17 in the Steel Path mode. Alternatively, there are also special alert missions that will pop up on your star chart. A new one of these alert missions will pop up every 30 minutes, and then they last 1.5 hours before they're gone again. And for completion of these alert missions, you will get 20 Marks of Valiance 2 on normal mode and 30 on the Steel Path. Just one thing to note here, during these alert missions, there will always be an active Eximus Stronghold modifier, meaning you're gonna have to deal with a lot of Eximus units. My personal recommendation here would be to focus on the star chart alerts first, because in most cases, finishing one of these alerts is going to be much faster than finishing a Perita run, which will at least take 12 minutes. And then only if you've exhausted all currently available alerts, then you can play 1 or 2 Perita runs until new alerts have popped up, rinse and repeat. And as always, a quick like for the video would be really cool because it helps me big time with the YouTube algorithm. Cheers so much for your support. But now, let's talk about the one topic that you probably clicked on this video for. Let's go over all the juicy little shinies that you can get out of this event and what my personal recommendations would be regarding what to focus on. First of all, let's quickly go over cosmetics. The, in my opinion, most important item here would be the Valdir Syandana, this visually distinct and definitely not Warhammer-inspired Syandana right here that we know from the general in the quest. I think this looks absolutely amazing and everybody should have it. Then, in addition to that, we have new Dax shoulder armor, which looks a bit clunky at first, but I think on some Warframes this might actually be a really great fit. And finally, 2 more Orokin military-looking like medallions that you can use as a chest piece. Then, we also have a bunch of reoccurring cosmetics. If you haven't gotten them in the past, then you can do that now. The Seti Lacera and the Basmu, if you don't have those weapons, the blueprints are now available. And also very cool, if you still have to farm a bunch of focus, then there are now greater focus lenses for all 5 schools available. Just one thing here though, for the focus lenses, there is a limit, you cannot get more than 6 of each. But now, let's also talk about the Arcanes. As part of the Blood of Perita event, you will have the ability to farm all Eidolon Arcanes. These are kinda like the OG Warframe Arcanes, which you could initially farm from Eidolon hunting, but if that's not your cup of tea and you also don't have a lot of Phosphor to exchange with Lloyd, then this right here is your chance to get them. Unfortunately, also here there is a limit, you can only get 21 copies of each Arcane, but don't worry, that's still enough to max rank each and every one of them if that's what you want to. Let's quickly go over all of them so I can give you my personal recommendations. Arcane Warmth, resistance to cold status effect, I don't think that's all too necessary. However, Arcane Nullifier, making you resistant to magnetic, that's actually pretty good in certain situations where you really do not want to lose your energy or your shields. This one is pretty cool. Arcane Ice, resistance against heat, is gonna be a pass for me. And then Arcane Momentum, maybe this would be useful for Eidolon hunts. As you know, I'm not a big Eidolon hunter myself, so I might be wrong here. Arcane Tempo though, more fire rate to shotguns, this one is pretty cool to have, definitely something you should get sooner or later. Arcane Resistance, resistance against toxin status effects. I don't think that's all too great. Yes, it makes you resistant against the damage over time from Toxin, but if you get into the AoE of a Toxin Eximus, then the direct Toxin damage will still hit you and still bypass your shields. I would say this one is niche at best. Arcane Healing, that's gonna be a no for me. Same for Arcane Deflection. Arcane Velocity with the health regeneration, I don't think it's terrible, but nowadays we have better options to regain our health. Arcane Strike though, this one is definitely a high priority, more attack speed for melee weapons, it's a very good and commonly used arcane on melee Warframe builds, so I would definitely say if you don't have this, try to get it in this event. Arcane Awakening, more damage to pistols, it's not really my personal favorite. Arcane Guardian though is always pretty nice on health tanks, and especially with the new arcane that allows health tanks to basically go level cap, I think Arcane Guardian is definitely no S-tier arcane, but still a valuable tool to have in your arsenal. Arcane Phantasm, on parry, chance to get speed, maybe something for speed fans, but I think more niche than anything else. Arcane Eruption, similar thing, there might be ground finisher builds that could make use out of this, but if you don't have the time to farm tons of these arcanes, then I would probably skip this one too. Same thing for Arcane Agility, nice for movement, but there are definitely better ones on the list here. Such as Arcane Acceleration maybe, on a critical hit you gain chance to have a fire rate to primary weapons, excluding shotguns, so basically it says fire rate to rifles. I gotta say, I personally don't use it all too much, but I still think all those fire rate arcanes are all nice to have. Arcane Trickery, become invisible after a finisher kill. This one is pretty cool for niche builds, but also here I gotta say, if your playtime is limited and you can't farm all of them, then I wouldn't necessarily focus on this. Arcane Velocity though, fire rate to pistols, this one is very good, high priority, because we have a lot of Warframes nowadays with exalted pistol weapons, and this one helps a ton with the DPS on those frames. Same goes for Arcane Precision, 300% more damage on secondary weapons. This one too is really good for set exalted secondary Warframes, but in general, pistols in Warframe are very strong, and this one is a good arcane. Arcane Pulse is a definite nope, I don't even think I own this one. Arcane Ultimatum, armor on finisher kill. I think 1200 armor for 45 seconds is definitely good, but you need to have a build setup that can do those regular finisher kills, and you need to be willing to do that too, so I say decide for yourself. Arcane Aegis though, definite recommendation here, focus on this one, because it is crazy on any shield tanking type of Warframe, giving you ridiculous shield recharge rate, and the special thing about Aegis is that even if your shield breaks, the recharge just instantly continues. Most other shield recharge effects stop if the shield breaks, this one here doesn't, so it basically keeps you invincible for its entire duration through mere shield gating alone. Arcane Arachne, very good on specific niche builds, giving you damage on wall latch. I think if you know the builds that I'm talking about, you will probably already have it. If not though, you might get it, but get the other ones that you want to focus on first. Arcane Rage is pretty neat, more base damage to primary weapons. I did use it a lot back in the day, but nowadays I kind of feel 180% damage is a bit more on the lower side for a Warframe Arcane slot, but maybe if you're a bit newer to the game, or you don't have tons of different Warframe Arcanes to pick from, then having Arcane Rage to just give your guns a bit more damage, it definitely doesn't hurt. Same goes for Arcane Fury, more melee damage. Arcane Avenger is one of my absolute favorite arcanes in the game, giving you 45% more crit chance to all your weapons. And while 45% doesn't sound like much, what the description doesn't say is that this is a flat crit chance increase, meaning regardless of how low your base crit chance is, you will always get a flat plus 45% on top, which makes this very strong on certain weapons that have low crit chance but good crit damage multiplier, like for example the Kuva Nukor. I think this is one of the highest priority arcanes. If you don't have a max rank Arcane Avenger on your account, you must get this. Okay, the final three ones, the legendary ones, starting out with Arcane Energize. I know a lot of people don't like it anymore, I know a lot of people say it's fallen off, and that is correct because nowadays we have tons of different ways of regaining our energy, but I still think having Arcane Energize as an option is nice because there are still some builds out there in which I don't really have the mod space for Equilibrium or anything, so being able to go for Energize is a good thing. Arcane Grace is the arcane for you if you're in Naros or a Nidus main. On other frames though, I don't think it's all too great. And then finally Arcane Barrier, giving you a chance to instantly restore all shields once your shield gets damaged. It's cool on some shield frames, not gonna lie, but overall I think Arcane Aegis, the one that we previously talked about, which gives you crazy shield regeneration, I think that one is actually much more useful. And if you haven't already, then also check out my full guide on the brand new Warframe Uriel right here. Another massive shoutout to Niels V, Demon Lotzel, Demon Emperor, Emperor Prime, Noslinux Gaming, Turtlepeer, Undercaneo 2, Skyla Bowser, Mihawky, Socrates the Almighty Rat, Leo Morazaki, Shadow Lockhart, Hantakas, Patrasader, Boomy1, Mr. Games Plays, Zave, Awindai, Zengen, Quax, and all other generous channel members for your continuous support. We see each other, hopefully in the next one, and until then, as always, good loot.